Welcome to Mythical Phylogeny Adventures. I'm your guide Jason. We've covered monsters ranging from brutes driven by madness in strength, and those that wield their cunning like a blade. It is that later group that I want to focus on today. What to do with the monsters that pretend to be human. Think about it, adventurer. You return to the village after a harrowing experience. You are tired and sore. Despite your healer's best efforts, you are still nursing multiple bruises and cuts. You want nothing more to do than go get a drink and a bite to eat, and then a glorious night in bed. Yes, that would be perfect. Walking into your favorite tavern, you are assailed by a chorus of greetings and noise. You wave to your friends as you order supper and a drink. Shortly after you get them, a woman approaches you. She's pretty and starts flirting. Her laughter is as strong as your drink. You order her dinner as things progress. She sings a little song for you as you leave. She pulls you into an alleyway as she kisses you, but something isn't right. Her form changes as she goes from beautiful woman to vicious succubus. But you are too weak and under her charms. You are helpless to this demon. What do you do, adventurer? Well, in this particular case, you would need aid from others. And this is the topic I want to look at. There are plenty of monsters such as the succubus, vampires, kishi, and many more which take on human form to hunt. They will lurk within the shadows of society and prey on people. So how do we prevent them from getting into a city? And how would we hunt them? Well, the first issue is detecting them. And there is an issue you might have guessed, if you studied much mythology. There is a lot of variation in their weaknesses. Some to sunlight, others to running water, some holly or garlic, and so on. That means you will need gate guards and walls around the village. You want to focus all those that enter the village to pass through a few controlled points. Walls and gates are common, but we can't just do like we have in our world's history. The first thing is setting down enchantments, potentially carving holy runes and seals around the gates. Since moats are a common trope, they could serve as a source of running water. But is that enough? Not even close. You could even go so far as to administer potions filled with harmful substances to various monsters as a test. But how effective is this test going to be? Will it cover all types of monsters? Probably not. Let's look at zombie movies for what I'm getting at. If bitten, you become a zombie. Pretty basic, right? But there is always that idiot who gets bitten and doesn't say anything. They try to hide the symptoms because if their allies found out, they would be exiled or slain. And eventually, they do transform, and it often costs their allies their life. So what can a fantasy world do to prevent this? Well, a quarantine period upon entering a village. Everyone that wants to enter the city will have to wait a day or two. This will be a major hassle to be sure. It'll add to travel time and extra security constantly. But this means you have time to observe and hopefully catch on if someone is something like a vampire or a succubus. But are these going to be private rooms or communal one? Do you want to be stuck in a room with a vampire or a kishi? Yeah, I can see this creating issues and more security threats. Likely, you'll need to cover these expenses with fees that get charged for entering the village. I would definitely want a mage or two stationed at each gate to deal with magical concealment. Yet, it isn't uncommon for you to need to sneak into villages. Let's start with a common one, over the wall. This isn't too surprising. You build a wall around the city to keep out monsters and stop hostile armies, but it is so common to have someone slip over the wall. Someone who can climb walls or even fly over it. There are dozens of ways to do this. So what can you do? Station guards all along the wall, have them move in patrols, half looking up and the other half down. Have a mage or two with them to expose spells. But how far apart? How far should they patrol? There's a bit to question to be sure. And there are other ways in, through the sewers. I'm sure the Thieves Guild has a few routes. Yes, these places may smell and lack hygiene, but those aren't concerns from monsters usually. We'll need to cast the same seals throughout them, but will we have sewer patrols? That wouldn't be a fun assignment, but there might be a few options. Slimes are a common monster in sewer settings. Potentially, we could use them as dungeon fodder of sorts. But how hard would it be for a monster to take them out? I mean, slimes are usually trash tier foes. How long are they going to delay your foe? No, you'll need more. Potentially, when some sort of alarm that will go off when the slimes are in combat, and add in traps. And the question will come down to, is this a worthwhile investment? How common are monsters? If they are rare, it is unlikely that you could convince people to put the resources into it. But when they are common, it will almost guarantee that you will need to. Oh, and all of this is contingent on not having to deal with corrupt guards and the Thieves Guild actively working with monsters. That will make things much harder to deal with. Whereas still, if you're dealing with a noble aiding the monster, that will make the whole issue a giant mess. This makes me think that cities will grow into a more fortress-like setup with a stricter culture. It might even make trying to enter a city more complicated. At worst, you might end up with a city proper and a small outer city filled with travelers. And to reach the inner city would require more time and work. Yet, sooner or later, all your security measures will fail. So, how do we stop them once they get through security? Vigilance will be critical to be sure. You'll need everyone to keep an eye out for mysterious people. This could result in people being suspicious of foreigners and newcomers. Of course, this will create social issues to be sure. But we have things which use charm and control spells to manipulate people. How much would people notice the change? What, are people going to go around and casting dispelment magic on people at random? That is likely to create other issues and remove beneficial magic, and that might be seen as rude. That means your city guards are going to need training in spotting such magic and protecting themselves. And again, you'll need mage deployment with your troops. And this alters city combat. You can't just go wild and inflict damage wherever you want. So limited area of effect use and more focus on close quarter combat. You'll also need to be careful of civilians and hostages. And that gets complicated when civilians don't realize they are protecting a monster. Here, crowd control spells are going to be your bread and butter. Focus on limiting people's movement and speed. You'll also need pursuit spells if your foe escapes. Overall, this means you'll need to be more careful when meeting new people. It might be wise to take more time getting to know each other. Don't just follow some random people into a place you don't know. Take precautions. We have one last issue, and this is when probably you are in the most danger from monsters. You are alone, traveling between villages or living alone in the woods. I'm betting this is one of your worst fears. You're home alone at night, and you hear a knock on the door. Your heart races as you get up. Part of you wishes that no one is there, but just as bad is if there is someone. What do you do if you open it and there is someone in distress? Are they human or a monster? Do you help them? Bring them into your house? That is what a vampire would want. This will be a gamble, and one that could quickly turn bad. You'll want to check to be sure that they aren't a monster. You may need to keep things like holy water and symbols around your house, and it might be custom to go through these tests every time you enter a house. Of course, a high standard of trust could be letting someone enter your house without going through all of this. But what if you aren't in your house with everything ready? Let's say walking along the road, and you find an injured person on the road. What do you do? Do you try and take them with you, or leave them? This isn't an easy answer. There are plenty of tales of monsters that prey on those who try and help. I would assume that you would want to help, so be careful. Here, you can't check the person to see if they are human or not. Ideally, I would recommend traveling in a party or a caravan. This will provide the security of numbers, and then someone in your party can carry the components to test the individual. And if it does turn out to be a monster, you have more people to fight alongside. Depending on how prevalent monsters are will alter people's behavior. I would expect people to get more suspicious and focus on defense. It does make aiding others more of a gamble to be sure, and could alter the whole layout of a city. Thank you for watching, adventurers. Please return next time. Until then, I'll see you on the roads.